Hi, Pinkies. Chris here. So, I promised you that I was going to present a series of the high value men in my network and what they were looking for in romantic partners, what they do and how they move and operate in the world, so that you have a better understanding what quality men look like. So I am very pleased to present to you somebody who has just become a hopefully a business partner and colleague and hopefully a friend, Lance Groth. Lance Groth is an attorney and he also runs the company 1031 Exchange in San Diego. Lance, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Can you tell people what 1031 exchange is? I think it's important to clarify like what it is because um, it does have to do with real estate and investing and building. And so this might be an opportunity to tell many people of color what this does and how it could benefit them.
Okay. First and foremost, I operate as the chief executive officer of the company. Do have a law degree, but I choose not to practice. Kind of stay out of the ABA rules. It gives me a little more freedom to run my business. Secondly, a 1031 exchange is basically a rule on the IRS, section of the IRS code that basically allows people to defer capital gains. And if people don't know what capital gains are, if you have any investment property, an asset, a stock, a business interest, or a piece of real estate, when you sell it, if you have profit, that's considered capital gain. So real simple math, you purchase at 100,000, you sell at 200,000, that's 100,000 profit. That's also called capital gain. Now, anytime you sell a capital asset, meaning stock, real estate, or business interest, you're going to get taxed on that profit. That's called capital gains tax. And the 1031 exchange allows you to defer those taxes, meaning you don't have to pay it. All you have to do is follow some rules, acquire a new piece of property or capital asset, and you can just push those taxes along into your next investment so that you don't have to pay. Well, if you're in California, pretty much 33% on your profit. So, like that example we gave of 100,000, if you sell any capital asset where you have profit of 100,000 in California, you're going to be looking to cough up $33,000, and we basically help clients avoid that.
I wish my parents had heard of you when they sold a property that they had held for about I want to say 25, 30 years in Los Angeles. They sold the property after owning it for so long, and they had to pay a huge amount of capital gains tax. And
Yeah,
it really did cut into what they wanted to do for us, and that was to provide us with some sort of inheritance. So it's really important, and I'm glad that you're bringing it up. I think it's really
yeah,
important for Black people, especially if they're um, looking to invest. And real estate, as you know, is a pretty steady form of investment. More of the more stable investments that
yeah,
everyday people understand,
yeah.
um, but they don't understand all of the loopholes and all of the things. And so I think that it's great what you're doing. Do you actively work to educate communities about this, and particularly the Black community?
Yeah, actually, we focus heavily with the black community, mainly because the with Tax Cut and Job Act, that's basically President Trump's tax bill that he released in 2017. There's actually a bill in there specifically targeted at minority communities. It's called opportunity zones. Basically, if you invest these opportunity zones, which are low income areas that are commonly, they commonly hold mainly minority groups. It's not only you can tax defer something, but they have this new tax bill that you can just get completely taxes exempt if you go into these areas and you build or improve on businesses or properties. So, as part of our job is actually targeting minority areas mainly so they can understand that hey, you're living in this extremely preferential area for tax benefits. So, yes.
So tell me about you personally. Give me your life story in 2 minutes or less.
Okay, 2 minutes left. Start the clock. There we go. Uh, I'm St. Lucia, and I was born on the island of St. Lucia. It's a Caribbean island, about 160,000 inhabitants. It's only 25 miles long. My mom left the country when she was 25. I was 7, and she came to America. She worked on strawberry farms, selling toiletries to Mexicans who worked on the strawberry farms because there wasn't local stores. Went to school, got beat up a lot, started boxing, became a state champion light heavyweight at 178 in 2006. Because I was boxing. One of my mentors took me under his wing. He was very upset about young black men not going to college, only doing sports and selling drugs or going to prison. And he said, if you apply to college, I'll pay for it. I took him up on it, went to HBCU, Tougaloo College in Jackson, Mississippi, graduated in less than 2 years with a political science degree, but Tougaloo is also #4 in producing young black attorneys. So, of course, they sent me to law school, came out here to California, Thomas Jefferson School of Law, focused in business and tax and wills and trusts in business associations, graduated with a focus in that. As soon as I graduated, got into 1031 exchange, simultaneously worked for the only black council member, which is Myrtle Cole in city council, and then left that position to start my own 1031 exchange company. That's my time.
Wow. Oh my gosh. That's good. That's good. So you were raised by a single mom who obviously had to work very hard to support you.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about how that came to be, or
Yeah.
mhm.
Well, the moment we got here, I think the mom got into a conflict with my father. It was just, a big argument. A bit of physical abuse was involved. My mom's not really the let me see how this pans out. There's, some red lines that you can't cross. So, literally within 2 years, my father was out of my life. She just pretty much worked 2 jobs, Panda Express, KFC, until, about 10 years later, she got her nursing degree. And then she bought our first house, and she was just still working 2 jobs. And, our focus was always survive at all costs, survive. So she wasn't even instrumental in telling me go and focus in education or focus in this. It was just kind of, uh, the our currency in our family was just survival. Keep the lights on, keep the roof over your head, keep us fed, and yeah, she probably passed that on to me.
Yeah. Do you find that it motivates you to be more successful because of that sort of struggling hand to mouth situation as you were growing up?
Yeah, I it's weird. I think it translated into boxing for me. Boxing is probably the biggest part about my life, and coming into a foreign country from an island with an accent, getting beat up by you know a bunch of kids that sound different from you, look different from you, and the whole world seems to be, like this big dangerous place. It pushed me to focus in boxing, and boxing was all about like, hey, yeah, people will come to try to take your life, so you have to defend yourself. And on top of defending yourself, you have to learn how to be comfortable with the danger and learn how to be comfortable when you're in fight or flight, or you feel like your life threatened, or you feel like it's just this insurmountable danger threatening your interests or your well-being. So I would say her lessons made me good at boxing, and boxing kind of like fine-tuned it to make me pretty much be good in law school and business and all the things.
You know, I'm glad that you are speaking so freely about this. And I know you're a busy man. You're not on YouTube seeing the stuff that I see a lot, but there's a huge narrative in the demonization of single mothers, and
Yep.
how deficit they are, and how they're not producing quality products and things like that. And it can be very dehumanizing for these mothers who were the designated caretakers. Like, they are the ones that have stayed to do the hard work, and I don't
Yeah.
think that that is celebrated enough. It's there has been, I know I'm an advocate for intact families. I don't, that's not something that I'm um, dismissing. I think that that's the most functional way in society, to have a nuclear family where the mother and father are in the home. But the demonization of single moms. I mean, have you seen that? And what is your feeling about it?
I feel it's only really happening because of the time we're living in. You know, there used to be a period where public information was only consumed at specific times, you know, with 7 p.m. to 7 p.m. news, 10 o'clock on the 10 p.m. news, or 8 a.m. or the 8 a.m. news when it comes to, public conversations. But now you have social media where you have literally any human being can post something and put it in the public forum for people to consume. And now there is a lot of consumption of that information. What tends to happen is negativity spreads faster than positive things. You know, even the news cycle knows whenever they see their ratings down, they just highlight a couple negative stories. O.J. Simpson's one of the best test subjects of that they literally turned a criminal issue into a damn near reality TV show that was
Mm-hmm.
the consumption of eyeballs and people just being so interested. It's just I don't want to say that it's that it's more prominent, this demonization of black women. I just think it's more popular in terms of people being interested, because you do have some single moms that may have some children that go down the wrong path because of a number of different things. But you won't see guys like me out in the public eye. We're focused on actually doing the work and taking care of our families and building our companies. Like, we're not trying to be on social media talking about this and that or this. Like, we're busy.
Thank you. Thank you. That that right there is the reason why I invited you on. Um, that, and because I'm very, I'm very impressed by you, and I love that you are directing your activism and giving back and um, going into these communities and actually building and doing the work instead of just talking about it. So
Yeah.
let me ask you this: what is your definition of a high value man?
Uh, Me, I think a definition of a high value man is somebody that has strong principles. That, and I don't mean strong principles that is the code I live by, but strong principles that has a beneficial impact on either his family or society. Like, it's just that simple. Like, because every day I look at stepping outside my door, like I'm going to war every day. The moment I step outside of my home, my peace, my realm, when you step outside the door, it's war. People are trying to take money from you. People are trying to, seduce you to buy their products. They're trying to get you to join their opinion on some public forum. So you have to have like strong principles to say these are the things that I live by. And those principles are also these motivating tools that can help you not just sit still, but move forward. And it's about, what are you moving forward for? Like for me, when I came to California, I had two simple goals: move my baby sister out here, retire my mom. Two simple goals. 2 years in, I moved my baby sister out here. And thankfully, funny enough, my mom, who was a nurse, I retired her last year, right before COVID.
Wonderful.
43% of all deaths happen in nursing homes, and she worked in a nursing home. So those were my principles, because I learned a long time ago that they call it, there's certain people, especially in the Black community, you always got to find that one in a generation. Before me, my father was never educated. My mom just got a GED. My brother's never educated. My grandfather's never educated. Like, in back of me, there's poverty, servitude, and degradation. But after me is going to be, my kids are going to have financial literacy. They're going to have a roof over their head consistently. They're going to understand capital investments. They're going to have options, and they're not going to be moving off the fuel of, we have to just survive. They're going to try to thrive and create and build and do amazing things. So those were my principles, and they help push me forward, but they also help protect me against making dumb decisions. I can't do this. I can't get into this opportunity if it's going to impact my family negatively. I can't jump into this poor situation if it's going to have a negative impact on my family, or or what I'm trying to do. So the principles are like a shield to protect you from that war I talk about when you step outside the door, but it's also like this fuel push you to do these things to make a change so that the next generation or your community or the people around you can have a better life.
So let's talk about the future children that you plan on having. What
Yeah.
are you looking for in a long-term partner?
I think partner is the magic word. When I think of partner, I think of a person that has shared ideals. Those ideals are, a constant work on oneself. I'm really big on the individual, far as group identity. Oh, I'm a Democrat. Fuck does that mean?
Hmm.
I think I like to focus on the individual. Like people are complex, so when you do focus on the individual yourself, you realize that you always have to keep working to become better. I want somebody yeah, that's hey, I recognize that I don't know everything, and I recognize I may be flawed, and that's okay because I'm constantly working on those things, constantly working to become kinder, constantly working to become more focused, constantly be working to become more inclusive, more empathetic, more understanding, more patient, more loving, more generous. So I need someone who's on that same path of growth, working forward to change. And also, I need people that come with certain values of kindness. And that's my biggest thing. Like, there's a lot of negativity in the world, but my mom always taught me you can fill a room with enough negativity to fill it up, or fill the same room with enough positivity, fill it up. It's just about what you focus on. So I like people who really kind of focus on positivity, even when there's so many options to indulge in the negativity, such as the point we made with people focusing on, negative content. And yeah, I just like people to kind of really be that, hey, uh, I recognize the deficiencies I have, but just I'm on a mission to change and grow and develop.
Um, are you the type of woman? Do you have a type? I mean, do you date primarily Black women, or do you kind of date the rainbow, or like what are your preferences in terms of dating?
I've noticed that I'm really a bit of, I don't want to call it a slave to my environment, but when I was in Hartford, Connecticut,
Mhm.
everybody around me was Black and Puerto Rican. My first girl was Puerto Rican. My second girl was Black. When I came to California, everybody around me was white. First and second girl was white, and now I'm dating someone that's literally biracial. So I
Mhm.
don't look for anything in particular. It's just I'm a slave to my environment where, whatever is near me,
Mhm.
I'm attracted to. But who I let in and, say, hey, this we're in an actual relationship, they normally have those values that I spoke of.
So you know that um, part of what I do is coaching Black women to expand their dating options, and
Yeah.
um, and it's to include all men, which is why I have you on, because I think that there are men of high quality from every background. And
Yeah.
because we are working with unique challenges in finding long term mates, we have to be more strategic about um, um, playing the numbers, basically.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel about Black women dating and marrying interracially?
I think it's natural. They
Mhm.
have to do it. I mean, it's like, I don't know. I think it's the idea of only dating your race is a bit archaic, and it's an old idea from a very troubled time. No matter what, I mean, you look at the Black Lives Matter movement. This is one of the first times in our history as an American society where we've literally stopped, like stopped and said, okay, there's a cancer here, and it is pervasive and it's troublesome. And when people stop what they did is literally look back, at things with a different lens. You have the George Floyd thing where it literally shocked the consciousness of people, and to people first time viewing it, it was something that was well documented, and also because of COVID, there wasn't a lot of distractions to pull people away from it. It wasn't
Mhm.
football on, it wasn't
Right.
Super Bowl, baseball. Oh, you were stuck in your house and you had to look at this video. And whether that was black men or not, people were shocked at the idea of watching murder be committed on live television.
Mhm.
Because you go back a few years, you couldn't even, you remember Jerry Springer, they had to cut away when somebody punched somebody.
Right.
And now you,
Yes. Mhm.
right? It was like the punch was coming and right before it landed, like, and to a
Like,
commercial break.
we'll be right back with you. But
We'll
first,
be
a
right
word from our
back.
sponsors.
And then they come back and she has all red marks on her face. You're like, yo, what happened? But now you have this digital age where it's just completely unfiltered, and the death of George Floyd shocked people's consciousness. And when that shock occurred, then so they started to ask real questions. And it's just funny enough. It's you go back to, let's say, Trayvon Martin. And Trayvon Martin, I remember I was in law school and I held this big panel to address the issue, brought all the criminal professors to talk about the law. But of course, it ended up getting a bit emotional, giving the racial tones of the thing. But I remember the entire argument, all on television, everywhere. The entire argument focused on Trayvon Martin at the time was this is not even a racial issue. Racism doesn't exist. And
Wow.
now people get to go back and look at with a different lens.
Mhm.
So it's just it's different because of the times that we're living in.
Mhm.
People are forced to deal with these things, and when you look back, it's just this simple. It's we are coming from a very segregated society, whether we like to admit it or not. So the conversations that people our age, and I'm 37, blows my mind. What are you talking about? Maybe because I come from an area where there was black, white, and this, but statistically, we're growing more intertwined. So the
Mhm.
idea of only dating your own is blasphemous because so you're only gonna work with your own, only gonna eat with your own. You go to Africa, okay, there's a lot of Africans. You go to Europe, there's Europeans. You go to Asia, there's a lot of Asians. This is America. We're literally an experiment of combining different tribes to work together, and we've been extremely successful at it because what we've learned is when you put people with different perspectives, different ideas, you become the most dominant nation in the world, the most innovative. We produce the number one ideas. We put people on the moon first. We create the internet. Like a collection of different ideas and tribes actually produces the best. So it's a little insane to me.
You know what? I got to tell you something. I'm going to give you a massive compliment right now. Because of what I do, I operate online and I see some stuff that you just can't unsee. And it kind of makes you wonder, like, who are these men? And is everybody like this? Like, oh my God. And you are giving me, like, I have literally gone through somewhat of an existential crisis over the last week or so. And you are bringing so much peace and hope to me right now. And proof what people say, you know, real life is not online, go outside and things will look a lot different. So thank you for that. You've like really you helped me write this down. But I do want to talk about that. So, what did you think about the video that I sent you that inspired you to, want to come and talk to me today? What did you think about what was said, particularly about her, being average looking, um, too old, baby mama, um,
Yeah.
will die alone? Like, what was your perspective when you saw that?
A number of things. The first of which was uh, extreme passion for the lady. It was sad to see that she sat on that call and took that from that. Like she took that, she sat there, and there's this thing, especially uh, in my business, we do a lot of educating, and we know this. When you're speaking from a position of authority, you have to understand people are accepting what you say as fact, as a rule, as law. So you have to be, like they say, to whom much is given, much is expected. So it's a big responsibility when you reach a level of either success or you hold yourself out to be authority. Because watching her, just listening, you know, if that was my sister, I would be the guy rushing in, like, turn off that damn laptop. What is this guy? But the first thing was compassion because, yeah, I have a baby sister, and it's funny. She has followed in my footsteps. She owns her own business. She's
Right.
big on, personal improvement, and she's just amazing. But I look at other Black women, especially younger Black women, as with the same lens. Like, I don't want somebody telling my sister she's ugly. What? No,
Hmm.
don't, no, don't do that. Like, one, she's gorgeous. Two, that's not the what she needs. So the first thing was compassion. The second thing was just simple. It was like this glaring uh, look at, wow, look at the old generation, because he was an older
Yeah.
guy. What
In
was
his
he, 50
50s.
plus?
Yes. Hmm.
And watching him just kind of prove my point, like I said, with the Black Lives Matter movement, it forced us to look back and see the deficiencies we had in, the racial injustice. But no, while we're yelling Black Lives Matter, we need better support and help. No one's really having the conversation of the actual impact this thing has had. It has that impact in the Black community of hyper focus on materialism, uh, over emasculated culture, and hearing him speak was just evidence of it. Like, you need to look good, you need to be in your 30s,
No,
and
he
if you're
actually
coming
says you hit the wall at like 26 or 27. If you're not married by 26 or 27, it's a wrap. Go
out,
buy some cats.
yeah, so to me, those were just evidence of kind of like watching an old culture who's been fed basic surface level values. And that's just it. He was just regurgitating his values. Like, whether it's true or not to him, it's those were surface level things that those aren't good things. Like, if you ask another person who hasn't been, heavily impacted by uh, just a culture that has these extreme deficiencies, you're going to get a different viewpoint. Like, no, people aren't just looking for you to be young with a pretty face. They want things like, I don't know, are you kind? Are
Hmm.
you a worker? Are you open to a different type of viewpoint? Do you like to focus on mental health? Do you meditate? Are you kind to
Hmm.
different cultures and receptive to different types of information? So when I hear a guy like that, it's just, oh wow, okay, here's this simpleton surface level views that he's probably been fed his whole life, and my only response to it is that's an old archaic way of doing things, and that isn't reality.
Lance, so we talked about the demonization of single moms. We
Yeah.
talked about you being raised by a single mom. How do you feel about dating and even marrying a single mom for yourself? And the reason why I ask that is because um, online, the definition of high value man is anybody who makes six figures or more. Like that's
Yeah.
that's the um, really superficial definition. I know you make well over that, so the narrative is that high value men such as yourself are not checking for single mothers. So, what to what degree is that true or false for you?
Me specifically, I think it's a little more complex than that because, uh, like, I may be in a different financial situation than you know a lot of people where I come from, but Me specifically, my first real girlfriend had 2 kids,
Oh,
and
wow.
uh, yeah, she was about 12 years older than me,
Oh, wow.
and we dated. Yeah, she dated for 4 years, and she was probably instrumental into pushing me to go to law school. And yeah, dating her with kids, it 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 probably made me grow up a little faster. And even now, those kids are in college, and it's funny. One of them in college to study law,
Wow.
and impact on him. And he still calls me to this day, like, hey, man, there's something about focusing on this, something about doing this. So I can't say I wouldn't. I have. I've done it, and I basically have two 2 kids out there that ain't my own. Uh, Secondly, like right now, I'm 37. I think, and I mean this specific as it relates to me. Um, uh, when come from a point of not having anything, and then you set these goals, and then you start to hit these goals. The truth is, what people don't realize is guys like us is on the road to hitting these goals, you are blinded. You cannot see anything else other than what you want. Like I wanted this office, I wanted this desk, I wanted my name on the door. I wanted my company to be respected. I wanted it to be self-sustaining, and I couldn't even understand, close relationships until uh, probably COVID, where if stop and reflect, and literally in COVID, I was sitting in my house like, man, I've literally been running full speed since I got here in California, and and I remember from time I was young to about 32, I was like, I don't want any kids at all. But when you start to hit some of the goals that you dreamt about, um, you actually become really focused on passing on and building a legacy, and handing it off to someone. So I'm I myself now am really focused on actually building a family and having kids, and being able to pass on some of this hard work. So I personally, I'm about having my own family right now, and that's
Mhm.
specific to me. So I can't give you like this definitive answer
No, and
because
that's and I
in
appreciate your honesty because that is a reality, and that's what I tell the women that it's not your life isn't over if you're a single mother, but you have to also accept somebody's preference to create their own family with
yeah,
just two people who are childless who come together and they build that together. So that is a reality, and um, women do need to accept that. Absolutely, it may be hard to
yeah.
hear, but that
But
is the
it's
reality.
tough. But it's this. I really mean I can't give you a definitive answer. Is because like I yes, I'm focused on building my own family, but I can openly tell you it's the same way where I can't tell you, yeah, I date this type of woman, I date this type of woman. It's based on my environment. If the woman who happens to have the qualities that I told you happens to be of this race or this race, then I'm going to pursue it. And it's the same thing with women with children. Man. If you find it's just really this simple. If you find an amazing woman, and let's just take out amazing woman. If you just find like an amazing friend you connect with, you are not going to sit there and say, because you have this, I can't. What are you talking about? And then me personally, I love kids. Like I absolutely love kids. So if I build a relationship with a woman with a kid, and me and the kid are always sitting around playing video games, and that's my guy or that's my little girl, what am I gonna do because of this kid? Nah, like that's just insane. So I really can't give you a definitive like no. I just know right now I'm like super focused on having building my own family, and yeah, that's been on the forefront of my mind.
Do you have any closing advice to men who are and a lot there's a lot of men who are online, but particularly young black men who are looking for father figures. Maybe a lot of them did not have their fathers around, and so there's a lot of messaging that's very hyper masculine, that is very extreme in a certain direction. But what it boils down to is that you have a lot of young Black men who are just searching for
Yeah.
how to just navigate life. So, what advice would you give to those men?
Well, simple. First, if you are one of those men without a male figure in your life and your dad's not there, and you use that as this crutch that I was raised by a single mom, I'll say quit it. Stop. I'm beyond thankful that I was raised by a single mom. Like I sometimes think about what my life would have been like if my father was still in my life. It's just insanity because this is the truth. There is this void and it's this deficiency of just this human being that you know they can relate to you on different levels that you know your mom can. Yes, this that void's there, but fill that fucking void because when I didn't have a father figure, truthfully, I sought out mentors. The guy who paid for me to go to college, CEO of a business, the first person who grabbed me by my arm, looked at me in my eye, and said, "You do know you can think." Was State Senator Gary LeBeau. He also happened to be a teacher at my school. The second person who pushed me to go to law school was my boxing coach who said, "Kid, yeah, you're the state champion, you know how to fight, but you actually have a brain in there." So to me, I was lacking a father figure, but when I filled that void, I filled it with senators, CEOs, and goddamn lions, and it
Ooh,
built me, put all
yes.
of those things inside me. So I'm thankful because my dad is still working at the same liquor store, stocking the shelves from once we came to this country like 30 some odd years ago.
Wow.
And the reason I'm here isn't because I just had this great idea and this plan. I went to law school, talked to my coach, my guy who paid for me to law school to this day. I have a conversation with him once a month about business, about life. And he constantly gives me advice. It's just that simple. Like if you're missing something, it's not like it's not out there. Go out and get it. Grown men, me, I'm the mentor to a ton of kids all day. I've helped them get into school. I've given them money to pay for school supplies, give them money to pay for clothing. Like I was just handing it over because I'm just passing it down. So to those who use that crutch, like, oh, I don't have a father figure in my life. It's like the internet. It's like Google. You don't know a question, Google it. It's
Right.
there. You find it. It is there in abundance. There is an army of strong men dying to hand over what they know, their access to their resources. They'll give somebody the leg up because once you do get into this position, you're only sitting here with this gratitude and only way you feel like you can pay homage to it is by handing it down to the next. Because I wasn't the smartest dude in my school. I got two friends on death row. I got how many friends in the dirt? And I got a ton of friends that were way smarter than me doing less than me. And I know it wasn't just my natural innate instincts. It was, my ability to work hard, a bit of luck, a shit ton of help from older men, older women, by the way. So to all those men, it's just whatever you're lacking, go out and get it because it is there for you to help you move forward.
I love it. Thank you so much, Lance, for um, sharing your perspective as a high value man who is in my network, who I admire. There are a lot of women, young women, some even in their late teens, who watch, and they're looking for examples of quality men. And so it's my goal to try to present. Um, a counter negative narrative to what now is really being spewed right now. And so I appreciate
Well,
that.
one thing towards the women as well, if like any of the women listening, if nobody's saying it to you, like when I'm telling you I'm working for my family, I'm literally trying to uh, I'm literally trying to give back to really the women in my family because like my baby sister is probably the biggest love I've ever experienced. She's a 10-year difference and she literally is like a baby to me, even though she's like 27 now. She probably hates that. But like when you get older and you realize the headache that they had to go through to pretty much shield you from some of this chaos, because it's only when you get to an adult you understood like, holy shit, my mom was working at KFC and Panda Express, getting called a nigga every day,
Oh
and
my God.
somehow I didn't feel any of that. So, like, it's one of the reasons I retired my mom. It's my way of saying thank you. But to like all those women out there, and y'all see all that negativity, like this, like if no one ever tells you this, like there are men just like me, like we love you guys. We're so thankful for you guys. Like we understood during that time that you're working hard and you're handling us as a goddamn baby. Like, yeah, once we become men, we're not just like, okay, thanks for the work. Like, there's not a day that goes by where I'm just not thankful for the stuff that my mom has to deal with. And as a man, when you see other black women, you just recognize and know, and you trust me. We try every day to show gratitude and pretty much give back to what all these black women have given us. So to all those women, man, don't listen to all those negative dudes. Like if no one tells you this, like I'm in love with you guys. I
Oh,
appreciate you guys. Like it means so much to me because I didn't get here easy, and it was a lot of help from a lot of black women that literally just ate shit so I could sit here in this fancy office. So
mhm.
we really appreciate you guys, man. It's a big deal.
Thank you. That was beautiful. I think that's going to touch a lot of people. And thank you for taking time out. I know you're busy, um, but I really appreciate this. And you are going to touch a lot of people. Um, this is going to be very impactful because this is a conversation that's sort of dominating in the area of the internet that I happen to be in. And so, thank you for your candor. Thank you for your honesty. Thank you for your empathy and your compassion. And most of all, um, thank you for being a good example of what a successful black man and the character that a successful black man should have.
Yeah, couldn't do it without y'all. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you. All right, guys, that's it.
All
Thanks
right.
up. Thank you, Lance. Mwah, mwah. Thank you.
Alrighty. I gotta get back to work.
Okay.